Welcome back to our CEO.CA users. My name is Amrit, and we are at PDAC 2023 in Toronto. We have all the experts, the insights, and the information. And joining me now is Patrick Cruikshank, the CEO and Director of 9 Mile Metals. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, it's day one of the conference. You're here for a reason. So tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into this sector.
I feel like I've had 2 or 3 lives already, but yeah, I got involved in this sector about 7 years ago. A friend of mine asked me to join him at an AGM in Nevada, and that was my first exposure to the resource space. And being Canadian and so on, and seeing where this critical mineral area was going, and the evolution of always technology, and it was a down and out sector at the time. So I'm a value investor, and I started buying companies and projects, and that took me all the way to New Brunswick.
Yeah. Well, tell us about 9 Mile Metals and how it came about and what the vision really is.
9 Mile Metals is a junior Canadian exploration company, and we're focusing strictly in the critical mineral space. VMS, even more so focused, which is your silver, lead, zinc, copper, and gold. And the Bathurst Mining Camp is one of the world's biggest camps. It has a lot of history for VMS and critical minerals. And what we started doing was acquiring as much land as we could and projects, but then being very tech-centric, bringing new technology to the area and finding more and more mineralization and zones.
And on that note of acquisitions, tell us about your properties. What drove you to them? And in particular, what drove the acquisition of the Wedge Deposit project?
So our flagship project is called 9 Mile Brook. We have a VMS lens that we've discovered there. We drilled it last April, and we got the highest drill results ever in the history of the camp. We got up to 12% copper, 38% lead zinc, 600 grams of silver, and about 1.3 to 3 grams per ton gold over 19 meters. So that's a lens. So very, very high grade. So just think 1% copper over 190 meters equals 10% over 19 meters. So very, very rich. And the way these deposits happen is there's a vent or an underwater volcano that spits out these mineralizations 400 million years ago, and they deposit. But that's a lot of time, right? So when the earth goes and tectonic shifts and thrust faults and so on, it's all flipped and very hard to find. They're vertical deposits going down into the ground. So we've found one called the Willet lens, but because all the folding, deposit's broken. So now we're just launched a drill program to find the second part, the third part, the fourth part. It's like a daisy of pearls. So that's what we're doing right now in our flagship. But we've created and acquired up to 121 square kilometers in 4 projects now in the area of the camp that we think is the most prolific for future discoveries, because it has been avoided in the past. It's very complex. There's only 1% outcrop in the camp. There's nothing sticking out of the ground. So it takes new technology to find it.
Well, on that note of just new technology, you are using some leading edge proprietary technology in the world famous Bathurst Mining Camp. Can you give us a simple explanation on how that is executed and how it's aiding to the discovery process?
Yeah, we were introduced to this technology a couple of years ago, and we've used it in the past. And as most technology, every year it advances and the algorithms are improved. We used to have to fly helicopters with hula hoops at 2,000 feet, to get magnetics on the ground. Now we're using drones that go 24 hours a day through all kinds of weather, 10 feet off the ground, and will shoot into the earth and give us up to a kilometer of 3D technology, and only 20 feet apart. So we can really get a good 3D model, which makes us more successful when we're drilling. We can actually zone in on the mineralization. On top of that, we're in many, many layers. I'm simplifying this, but what we'll take is then we'll charge the ground, and the dissipation rate It's called the strongest conducted signature. The one that holds the charge the longest should be the mineralization. So now you can, like, the technology is advancing faster than you can almost keep up with it. But it just gives us more de-risking, more accuracy, and more success, rather than the problem everyone's had in the past in junior mining is you go out, you drill. You don't find it. You go raise more money, you go drill. You maybe don't find it. And then these companies have trouble raising more money and they get into trouble. And I think I've heard the seventh company finds the deposit. But we're trying to still be that first company and we de-risk it as much as we can. And it's been very successful for us.
Yeah.
We acquired the Wedge project because we're using this technology on a historic mine. And we believe it's bigger and it's multiple nodes, and no one's ever taken this technology to old historic mines and proved that it's bigger, and it's much bigger.
Well, you also just launched the second drill program at 9 Mile Brook. What are your plans there?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we have our lens. So think of it as the first piece that wasn't broken off. Now we're looking for the second piece. And we flew our advanced technology over this area. So now we have the 3D subsurface modeling. We have the late time conductive response, all the things that we need to target. And we have 18 drill targets, and we're drilling looking for either the second, third, fourth, fifth of that chain that makes up the overall deposit, or the magma chamber that created that. So that's our goal on this program right now.
Well, prior to this interview, we were talking about sustainability, something that's important to you. What does true sustainability mean to you as a leader?
Well, we're trying to be very social conscious. We're a green mining exploration company, so we use we don't go in and cut down trees and everything. We actually use logging roads and ATV trails, and we have a track-mounted rig. So think of a little tank with a little container on top that we actually go down small footprint into, and it just moves right in, and we're not cutting trees. We don't need permits. So we're trying to have the smallest footprint we can. And it's been very well received by the government, and we have a lot of support from our New Brunswick government. They're fantastic. They want us to succeed, obviously. And sustainability, we've got copper, lead, zinc, silver, and gold, all essential, critical essential. I call it essential, but critical minerals. And the demand's going to be higher and higher. And to be in a jurisdiction like here in Canada is safe. It's very prudent for us and our shareholders. No conflict minerals. We're very happy to be here.
So how can juniors appeal to new investors during these difficult markets?
Everyone's been hearing about critical minerals and exploration. The one thing I can tell our followers and our shareholders and people that consider us is we're very social conscious. We are in critical mineral space. We're in a fantastic jurisdiction in New Brunswick and Canada. The demand is, we talked about earlier, there's no way we're going to meet our demands in Canada, let alone the Western world. The United States are becoming, they want to replace their stockpiles from critical minerals, and there's already the Cold War Act with Canada that they can buy from Canada and so on. So I think more and more geopolitical issues, as we're seeing, are creating hurdles and barriers of entry for this space, and nationalizing. A lot of countries are starting to nationalize the critical minerals. We can't move forward without them. And like I said, Canada could be a world leader in this. We have that opportunity, especially with the United States right there as our biggest partner, and the appetite they have, and taking the stress away from the other parts in the world that are geopolitical.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with investors?
I think we're in a very exciting time, and a transitional time in mining and minerals. I'm in junior exploration, so it's a little different than producing mines, but But I think you're going to see a big jump in technology, which will help us, and a big jump in new discoveries, because there hasn't been a lot of large discoveries in the world right now that are critical minerals and so on. So we're going to definitely need that on our plate. We need to get our political partners aligned, everybody aligned to hit our goals. And they're very aggressive, but they have to be. They have to be. So.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights. Really appreciate your time today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Take care.
Appreciate it.